Hello, Mark. How are
Hi,
you? Thank you so much
good.
for being part of our podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dude, Mark, so we saw that you've been in, you went to New York for Bridal Fashion Week and
Yes.
you went to Mexico for a look like you did a wedding there.
What?
Yeah, it looked like.
Yeah.
So let's get in first. Let's get in first with New York. How'd that go?
Yeah, so New York, I went to New York Bridal Fashion Week recently with Kelly Williams Photography and Mariam from Array Couture, who you guys recently interviewed. So Mariam kind of took us along to kind of show us the different side of the wedding industry, where it's more of like bridal fashion and more on that luxurious side. Because for me, I do wedding planning and floristry, and I really don't deal with brides buying their dresses or looking for their dresses. So it's kind of a unique experience to kind of see all the different trends that are rolling in with bridal fashion.
What would you say that you learned from it, like that you took away from going to the New York Fashion Week?
I would say that there's so many different options for brides to choose from, honestly. I mean, there's those trends that where brides want to wear the same dress as other brides, but there's so many to choose from, whether you want a short dress, a long dress, a ball gown, something with more bedazzled. There's so many different options for them to choose from. So I feel like brides can just play around with what they want to wear. And I think the dress kind of makes the whole design of the wedding day come together and be more cohesive. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably like really helpful to go and see it for yourself rather than,
Mhm.
like you said, we don't really get to see like all of the options out there like
Yes.
that here. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I just gotta add, we're a little jelly, Mark. We're a little jelly that you went to.
Yeah.
So let's get into New York, man. How'd that go? Well, fill us in. That looked awesome from the stories I saw.
You mean Mexico?
I mean Mexico. Yeah, Mexico.
Yeah. So Mexico was very interesting. I mean, I haven't really done any like international weddings before.
Yeah.
This was kind of like my first experience that I've had in New York. Not New York, sorry, Mexico.
Yeah.
And I traveled with Alma and Marcia from the Photo Edge, and I was assisting them with their wedding that they had out there, and it was a very different experience. They're very more laid back, it seems like, over there. They don't really follow a timeline. It's just the language barrier is also different. And trying to communicate with the vendors is a little hard because I don't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to kind of understand their language and trying to have them understand my language is a little different. But overall, the wedding turned out really beautiful.
Yeah,
it was really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Where was it in Mexico?
Yeah.
It was in Mazatlan, Mexico. So it was kind of like a touristy area, I would say. So they stayed at a resort, and then the venue was literally 5 minutes down the street. So we kind of just took a taxi down there, and it just turned out beautiful.
Dang it. Now I'm jelly. I'm double jelly. Would you say that when you went to Mexico for that wedding, did that like inspire you to want to do more destinations, or were you kind of just like, whoa, this is a little different?
I would say want to do more destination weddings. That's what I'm kind of focusing on right now. So in October, I'm actually flying out to Ireland.
Oh my God.
For a wedding that I have out there. So that'll be another destination wedding of mine. So I'm trying to work into that little niche where I kind of travel out of SLO County, because right now I focus more from Carmel Valley down to Santa Barbara. But I want to focus more outside of the box and kind of travel around the world and maybe around different states as well.
That's what I'm talking. Life is short. People do everything that go travel.
Yes.
Travel in general. All right.
Yes.
Oh, neat. Well, as much as we can continue talking about this, I want to pause and actually formally introduce you to our audience.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if you could just tell us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark Luna, and I'm the owner of MDL Events, which stands for Mark Dillon Luna Events, which is my first name. I specialize in full wedding planning, design, coordination, and floral design. And we've been in the industry for about 5 years. I started working in this industry in about 2019. And once COVID hit, my business started to launch. But then we were postponed for a few I wouldn't say a few years, but for a year. And then in 2020 is when I actually would start doing my weddings. Originally, I'm a nursing major, so I went to school to become a nurse. And then I just didn't really like nursing overall. I mean, in my family, I come from a family of nurses, so that's why I went to nursing school. And we also own a family business that involves within nursing. So I kind of want to branched out and did my own thing and kind of use my creative mindset. I actually learned floral design from high school, which was about 10 years ago. So when I took the course, and then during COVID, I was like, I can't work the front lines anymore. It was too tiring for me. So I wanted to kind of plan weddings and kind of design weddings and do florals. My original major that I was actually going to go into in college was actually interior design. But then for some reason, I went into wedding planning.
Oh, cool. Dang, that's so. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen the show Grey's Anatomy?
Yes.
We've recently gotten back into it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to be a nurse. That looks brutal, man. That
It is.
it looks brutal.
Night and day difference from the wedding scene.
Very.
So you did. So I'm sorry if I'm sorry if I missed it, but did you become a florist first, then you got into wedding planning?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So how did your journey as a florist intersect with the path as an event planner? Like, what inspired you to dive into both worlds?
Well, I kind of wanted to be like that one-stop shop for everyone where they could book me as a wedding planner and a florist.
Mm.
Originally, I was just going to do florals, but for some reason, my first wedding, I did coordination. And I kind of liked the aspect of planning the wedding and actually having my hands into the whole planning process because then it would come cohesively and I would figure out how both can combine together well.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. The best of both worlds, Mark over here,
Yes.
taking over the world.
And how do you, I mean, because the two roles are so different and both come natural to you. Like, how do you balance like the creative side as a florist with like all of the logistical demands that we get as a wedding planner?
So my brain works in two ways. One side has the creative side, one side has a logistical side. So if I'm doing a wedding where it's both planning and florals, I kind of have to combine those both aspects and kind of make it work in some way because with planning, there's so many moving pieces. And with flowers, there's also moving pieces because when I'm installing an installation, I would have to figure out all the logistics and all the mechanics. And for planning a wedding, you still have to do the same. You have to figure out the timing wise, when this person's arriving or when this is happening. So it just combines cohesively.
Yeah. You get to do creative and logistical in both areas.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I have a problem just using my creative side of the brain when I'm on a wedding day, just like trying to get these creative shots. You're working both brains. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So my question is, Mark, like, how do you manage overseeing a little bit more in depth with it? How do you manage overseeing both floral deliveries and the overall coordination of a wedding day? So can you like bring us onto a day of Mark at a wedding and you have both of these things going on?
So when we oversee florals and coordination on a wedding day, I first start off loading our car in the morning. So my team will meet at my house where my studio is located and we'll load my car with all the flowers, all the candles, and all the art structures that we need to bring with us. And then once we get to the venue, we'll meet up, kind of have a meeting where we kind of figure out a plan and lay out what we need to do. So what I like to do first is we like to unload all the florals. And then while I have them unloading the florals, I'll go check in with my couple, see if they're okay, if they're needing anything. And then I'll also check in with the venue manager. And then once I check in with them, I start going back to telling my team what to do with the flowers, where I have one gal who works for me, who's my lead, who will do the flower aspect. And then I'll just give them examples. And then I have myself who will do the planning aspect, where I have an assistant who will be helping me kind of set up the wedding day. And then I'll just go back and forth checking in to see if they need help. And then once they finish, then they'll help me with what I haven't finished on the planning aspect side. So it kind of works in both ways. I mean, I have a big enough team that helps me and that we can get things done very efficiently.
Wow. So on top of doing two roles, you're managing a team, and it sounds like you have it down.
Uh,
Yes,
Oh,
a lot of
uh,
moving pieces.
uh-huh. And it must be nice too to be able to pull bodies wherever needed, whether you need more help or, like you said, if you need to help them with floral,
Mhm.
be nice.
Yes.
And as far you mentioned having some inventory like arches and candles that you bring. Tell us about what you have to offer there.
Yeah, so I kind of collected inventory over the years, being in the industry. A lot of my inventory actually came from past florists who have actually closed down their business. So they've had sales or I've gotten inventory from them, and then also gotten inventory for myself from different places. I recently got some inventory in Mexico. I actually did some shopping where I got some ceramic bowls that I'm going to add to my inventory. So
oh,
my
cool.
inventory is from all over the place, I would say. There's this one place that's called Accent Decor where we get a lot of our inventory from. And then I also have some custom arches that I've had made for myself as well, because I know that my clients are always looking for something unique and different.
That's so cool. I want to jump a little backtrack a little bit and get into more of the business side of things. Mark, it sounds like you're very business minded. I want to know how you got your team together. Like when you started your business, how did you recruit your people?
Yeah, so actually, a lot of my team are my family and friends. When I first started in the business, it was my aunt, who's actually one of my main leads right now. And then I had two of my cousins, and then my sister, and then my mom. And then once that branched out, I started to hire a few girls from Cuesta College and Cal Poly. And then a few of my sister's friends also wanted to work with me because they also wanted to become event planners, hopefully in the future
Yeah.
as well. So I kind of built that dynamic from there.
I love that. So you said you come from a family of nurses and are the first to really branch out from that and do your own thing creatively. And now your family's following you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's so cool. Wait, Mark, and then would you say in today's times, is it hard to keep your employees to work with you, or do you think they're just
Um,
solid and stay?
I would say some of them did branch out and do their own thing. I mean, I had a few girls that had to finish school, so they did that. And then I still have a few of my girls that have been with me since day one. So
Oh,
I'm still thankful. They're still here with me doing all these weddings and dealing with all my crazy ideas that I have.
I love it.
Helping it all happen. What would you say would be the percentage of weddings where you do get booked for both floral and planning?
I would say maybe it's about 30% of my weddings would book both, and then sometimes it'll just be flowers, and then sometimes it'll just be planning. So it's kind of a mixture of everything. I do prefer doing both actually, because then it kind of just makes it easier for me where I don't have to communicate with another person. That's kind of like in the middle. That makes sense.
Hmm.
And I love it. The two services that you offer are like pretty much mandatory in this industry. So
Yeah.
you're gonna book one no matter what. Like florals,
Yes.
have them at weddings. Planners, everyone needs one. I mean, this is great.
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right, Mark.
Yes.
So how do you I'm gonna get a little bit more into like the creativity side of things with your brain here. So how do you work with couples to incorporate their vision and personal style into both their floral arrangement and their overall wedding design?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So when I first meet with them, I kind of pick their brain a little and kind of ask them like a few questions like, how did you guys meet? And then kind of ask them like a few personal questions, and I kind of get an idea of like what kind of ideal couple they are and kind of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then I will then ask like what colors, like what are your favorite colors? What do you like to eat? And I kind of get like all these different answers from them. And then with those answers, then I'll go in and ask them like the ideal wedding that they're looking for. And that's where my brain starts picking with all these different ideas that I want to incorporate some personal touches, as well as the look that they're going for. So, for example, if someone says that they like to eat pizza, of course, I want to incorporate something with pizza in the wedding, and they actually love the idea.
Mark over here digging deep into the belly of the beast. I like that.
Yes.
That's so cool. So like, yeah, to like understand, like people don't understand that the simplest question, like what do you eat, you could really grow inspiration from.
Grow inspiration from that. Or like, where do you like to travel? And then I'll pull some like color schematics or design schematics from that as well. So
Yeah.
design, it's very interesting because there's so many ways that you can incorporate design into weddings, where it's from personal touches or from what the client tells you what they want.
Mm.
Or what you're translating from what
Yeah,
they're
from
telling
what they,
and
yeah,
splashing it into the wedding.
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, since I have two wedding planners here in this podcast right now, do you feel like when you speak with your clients about the design and their vision, when they tell you something, do you think like 90% of the time they stick with what they want, or when you start spitting some ideas, it kind of changes into what you're like bringing out?
I think it's usually a collaboration.
Yeah.
I have a similar approach to you, really getting to know the
Mhm.
couple first and seeing what ideas they have, and then, you know, merging our
Yeah.
ideas together because they don't always know what's out there and, all
Yes,
the options. So I feel like it's a collaboration.
it is. And then sometimes we get like those clients who say they don't really care what it looks like and they just give you freedom. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I'm doing the right thing.
That'd be kind of scary, huh? Then you're like, and they're like, "What
Yeah,
is this?" Like, you did care.
you told me to do whatever, so I kind of did whatever.
Funny.
Uh, and as far as all of the different weddings that you've worked on and seen, what is a memorable wedding where your combined roles as a florist and a wedding planner allowed you to create something like truly extraordinary?
Oh, that's actually one that I have to think about. There's actually a few of those weddings where I did both roles. I would say it was probably my recent wedding that I had at the Rosewood. It was a very intimate wedding, and the weather was very hard to cooperate with. Like that day, we had rain, we had hail, we had wind, we had the sun. It was one of those days where it stormed. And I think what made it memorable is just like the family coming together and just celebrating the couple's love, no matter what was going around them. Because I know that I've had a few issues that day where the install fell down and then glass flew, and it was just a whole fiasco of things going on. But I think at the end of the day, it's just seeing the couple actually enjoying their day without them realizing what was going on around them. It just really made it memorable and sweet.
Mm. I love that.
Yeah, when all of the chaos is going around you, it makes you focus on what's really,
Important.
Important. Yes, which is the couple and making sure that their day goes as smoothly as possible,
uh-huh.
even if the weather is acting up.
Yes. And then everyone seems to pitch in more when,
Yes.
fire. So
Yes.
That's a good question. And I want to ask, do you think as wedding vendors, we sometimes get lost in the pretty little details and forget about what's important?
I would say sometimes we do. Sometimes.
I would agree.
Sometimes we just want everything to look perfect. For me, I'm a perfectionist. So sometimes like my brain is like, this has to be perfect. Like I need this to look well. Like I don't want it to look terrible. And sometimes I forget like this is actually for the couple and that it needs to be
Mhm.
done.
Yeah, that made me, because I was thinking about Grey's Anatomy, and remember there's this episode where the doctors were like, we can't be friends with our patients. We gotta, make sure we just get our job done, or like just help them heal.
Yes. Mhm.
I wonder if
You
that
just have to, yeah. At the end of the day, you have to get the job done and make sure that it's what your clients want and not what you want. You want the best for your client at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Big time. All right, Mark. So another one. Are there any interesting or like unconventional venues that you transformed into stunning works of art?
Yeah, I would say my private estate venues. So I've been booking a lot of private estate venues lately. And last year, it seemed like I had a lot of those where I had to kind of transform not someone's backyard, but someone's like private property.
Mhm.
into something magical. So I had to pull in tents, I had to pull in lighting, I had to pull in draping, and I had to pull in all these different rentals. But at the end of the day, it turned out gorgeous.
Dang.
Because not having an actual venue is really hard to work with
Mhm.
because you're working with a blank canvas because there's nothing there. So with the design, it's a lot of designing and bringing in different colors and bringing different textures and bringing in different um, rentals for this wedding because you want it to look nice. You don't want it to look like it's in someone's property. You want it to make it look like it's somewhere else that you don't feel like you're at someone's home.
Dang, that was a good answer, man. I like
Yeah.
that. Just you see it as a blank canvas. That's cool.
Yes.
It's not set up for a wedding, but you
No, it's
know,
not.
wedding day.
Yeah. And it all comes together with all the different design aspects and the different things that you pull in for the wedding day. Because you start with nothing and then you build up, kind of building like a house in a way.
Yeah. And it gives you more freedom when there's nothing like
It does.
there to
Yes.
work around.
And you can be more creative with everything. Because I know that venues do have rules where you can't add some stuff or you can't do this, you can't do that. So like 50-50.
That's true. Would you say that you get like a little more satisfaction from doing a private property and building it from the ground up, like your design, or doing one from a venue that already gives you the bones?
I would say it's in between. I mean, I like building something from the ground up, but then I also like working with the venue and kind of making the venue look different. Because I mean, a lot of the venues here are barns and vineyards and distilleries, and I kind of want to make these venues look different in a way where they don't look the same each time.
That's a good, yeah, I completely agree. I feel like now that you mentioned it, I feel like doing a venue and trying to, like you said, do something different would be actually harder and more satisfaction than doing something that's a blank canvas that would be different for them no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's actually a good answer.
Beautiful. And in your experience, so we've talked about like a lot of ways, like all the magic behind, doing planning and floral together. What are some common logistical or creative challenges that you've run into when wearing multiple hats in the industry, and how have you overcome them?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of logistical things that we may face on wedding days where one time I had a circuit break because we plugged in way too much outlets in one circuit. So we had to figure out where to move different cords. And a lot of these venues, they're built very nicely, but there's some where you have to kind of figure out logistic wise where to put things, where to hide things. So there's a lot of moving pieces where you have to like come up with on the spot and kind of figure out what to do.
You can't look like you dropped the ball. You just got to keep it going.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, I want to get into some destination stuff here. So I know you have Ireland coming up, what you said, next year?
Or October?
Yes.
But this year?
This year in October, yes.
Okay. I want to know, like, is it for planning or florist?
It's for planning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Get us into it. Like, talk about the difference in planning for Ireland than you would be planning for a wedding here.
Yeah, so I think the difference would be is the time zone. It's a big difference. So meetings that I've been having are kind of like in the middle of the day or sometimes like the crack of dawn because they have a different time zone than us. And I would say like the vendors are kind of different over there. I mean, traditional Irish weddings require a few other things that we don't have here. So like I have to source a bagpipe player and then I have to somehow source rentals out there. And where here we have everything nearby, there, a lot of their vendors, they have to travel to the venue. So like I believe the florist isn't from that area, but they're from somewhere in Ireland where they can travel, but it's not here where we have vendors who are local.
Mm-hmm. So I want to get into another one, Mark. So here's one that I know us vendors all want to know. How did you get that Ireland wedding? How did they reach you?
So the Ireland wedding actually, so they were actually originally going to get married at Mar Farm.
Oh, cool.
And then the bride was like, well, I think we're going to move our wedding to Ireland. Are you interested in going to Ireland? I'm like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Please.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Oh, dang it. I'm triple jelly. Dang it. So, Mark, what would you say your 2024 goals are that you're trying to achieve? What are your 2024 goals?
So my 2024 goals that I'd like to achieve, I would say, that's actually a hard question. I really don't know what I want to achieve this year because I've achieved so much being in business. I feel like this year I want to achieve kind of traveling more to do destination weddings. When I was in nursing school, I really couldn't travel. And actually, one thing that I have to point out, was in nursing school while planning weddings
Okay.
back in 2021, 2022. So it was a lot.
Brutal.
So I think my goal for my business is to do more destination based stuff and kind of grow my business out there more because I feel like I've established myself here on the Central Coast. So I kind of want to establish myself in not different countries, but like establish myself as more of a destination wedding planner who will travel to plan more weddings.
Man, okay, I'm gonna get more into destination, Mark. So another one that vendors will probably want to know is what steps are you taking to reach the destination market? Like, what are you doing on your website that you feel that's going to attract them?
So I think what I'm doing on my website right now is I'm kind of putting it under like my SEOs and strategic marketing where I branch off and do destination weddings. So I kind of make that like as a keyword. And then with the galleries that I'm receiving from these weddings, I will add those to my website and kind of make like a blog post and kind of blog about the wedding. So then people from those areas or who want to get married in those areas will see that I did a wedding here and I travel here, or I can travel to this different place. And I'm also wanting to kind of attend more different like wedding professional conferences that are out in like the destination base because I know there's like Engage that takes place in Italy and there's a few other places. So I kind of want to attend those and kind of pick my brain more on the destination market.
Dude, when you go to Engage, let us know. We will go with you.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
that would be great.
We were going to go this year, but we're like, we did so much. So
yes,
when you go, let us know.
Next year.
Maybe next year.
Yes.
I was curious for destination wedding planning, like the whole thing, like I am not up for, I'm not brave enough, but you found it difficult to like, work with a venue that's across the ocean and you haven't walked the ground and you don't know the vendors, or how have you like navigated that?
Yeah, so that's actually a good question because it is actually very difficult when I'm not there to actually see the place. I mean, my couple who's getting married in Ireland right now, they're actually going to go visit the place right now and kind of do their tasting, meet all their vendors. And what I wanted to do was go with them, but I just didn't work out with timing wise. But if I were to continue with destination weddings, I feel like I should go and do like a venue walkthrough, like how we do venue walkthroughs here, and kind of meet all the vendors over there and kind of meet with them and kind of talk more logistics and meet with them and see how they really are. Because I feel like here we're a tight knit community, but across seas, who knows if they're like that?
Right. Yeah. And I think that would be smart to just kind of like include it in your planning package. Just another trip over there.
To just see the place and then plan everything out with a couple and then come back here and then go back there and then produce a whole wedding.
So I like that Jade mentioned packages. So we're going deep at this. But like obviously you would be making a different collection for your packages than you would for packages here. I mean, yeah, that would probably include like travel and lodging, whatever, and whatever else. Yeah, that's what. Okay, if you were to do floral there,
would you source flowers like?
Would you do
locally over there?
Yeah. So when I was in Mexico recently, I recently did a shoot out in Mexico.
Hmm.
And so I couldn't ship flowers from here to Mexico due to customs. I even asked my floral supplier if they could, and they said they couldn't. So what I had to do is I actually had to go to the market and actually find flowers myself to
That's
use.
so cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of a cool experience to do that. I mean, typically I would get flowers shipped. So if I were to do a wedding Europe, say like Italy, I can get flowers shipped there because there's a distributor in Holland that can ship some flowers there, and then my distributor here can also ship flowers to me as well. But I think there is a not a limit, but there is a quantity that I have to ship, and there's also different types of flowers that I can only ship over there. So, for example, if someone wants eucalyptus, I can't ship it in some areas. Like I recently got an inquiry for flowers in Hawaii, and I asked my floral supplier, what flowers can I not ship to Hawaii? And he gave me a list.
Oh.
So it's a very complicating process, but I feel like it works in a way.
Dang, that is so cool. Well, it will make you stronger, and you pretty much just told us it's not impossible.
Yes, not impossible. There's always a way to find things when you travel.
I love it. All right, Mark. We could keep asking questions for days, but we want to get into a fun little game we call This or That. So basically, yeah, we're just going to say random things and you just spit the answer that comes to your mind. And then Jade will start it off. Let's go.
All right. Roses or peonies?
Peonies.
Introvert or extrovert?
What is the difference again? So introvert is like you're more like shy, correct?
Yeah, a little quiet, and the other one's
You
more
get
like
energized from having a break from social things, or extrovert, you need to keep having social things.
I would say I'm an extrovert.
And summer vacation or winter holiday?
Summer.
right. Magic show or comedy night?
Ooh, I like a magic show.
Talking in a funny voice or walking in a silly way?
I would say talking in a funny voice.
Would you go bungee jumping or skydiving?
Ooh, I don't know. I would say bungee jumping sounds more safe.
How about coffee or tea?
I like both.
All right, that's cool. Attending a mystery dinner party or a costume ball?
I would say costume ball. I like to dress up.
Yeah.
High School Musical or Glee?
Ooh, I would say Glee.
Bacon or turkey bacon?
Bacon for sure.
Would anyone choose turkey bacon?
I mean, if some people do like it.
See the future or change the past?
See the future.
Camping or glamping?
Glamping.
Morning person or night owl?
I'm kind of both. So I wake up early in the morning and then I also go to bed late. So
You just don't sleep.
You don't sleep.
I don't sleep.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Have a photographic memory or be able to forget anything you want?
I would say photographic memory.
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
And the final one, poor and happy or rich and miserable?
I would say poor but happy.
Yeah. All right. We just learned a little bit more, Mark, about you, and that is awesome. So one final question we'd love to ask our guests at the end of our podcast is, if you could choose any superpower to have while working a wedding, what would it be and how would it help you?
I would say, oh, that is a good one. I would say being at multiple places at once. Because on a wedding day, there's so many things going on where you have to be at this place at this certain time and you have to be at this place. So I think having multiple bodies of me would be ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark would be the cloning, just little
Yes.
everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a good answer.
I love it.
But meanwhile, you have your team, so
Yes, so I can just spread them out evenly.
All right, Mark, this has been such a pleasure to have you on our podcast. We've learned so much about your planning and your florist company. You are the man. But before you go, can you let everyone know where they could find you in the World Wide Web?
Yeah, so you can find me at my website, which is www.markdillonlunaevents.com, or you can find me on Instagram, which is _ MDL Events _ or Facebook, which is Mark Dillon Events.
Perfect.
Perfect. And we'll put all of those down in the description below so you can find them there.
Perfect.
All right, Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.